3 English examinations: IELTS, OET, and PTE. So if you're going to take your IELTS, OET, PTE in the Philippines within 2024, for sure, you get to enjoy a discounted examination fee if you ask 9.09er to process your exam registration. However, this is not going to last forever. This offer is valid until May 31 if you register for the exam before May 31, even if you take it later this year. So that's good news number one, discounted examination fee. And number two, if you're looking for a face-to-face event to meet the representatives of Fil-Global, come June 29, everyone is invited to join our 9.09er English Exams Expo, our 17th anniversary extravaganza at SM Mega Mall, Mega Trade Hall from 12 noon to 5 p.m. On that day, we're going to give away free exams, free review, cash prizes, free book, and free snacks. And it's totally free of charge. So if you know anyone who is planning to go to US, UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, then we invite you to join our English Exams Expo on June 29. And there you'll also meet the representatives of Fil-Global to talk about the US scholarship. So now that you know that we are offering discounted examination fees for IELTS, OET, and PTE, and you get to meet the representatives of Fil-Global when we celebrate our 17th anniversary expo this June 29. Now, I'll turn you over to Ms. Sandra Tenorio for the full details of the U.S. scholarship. So, if you know anyone planning to go to the United States as a nurse and looking for a scholarship, this is a perfect opportunity. On to you, Ms. Sandra.
Thank you. And thank you so much to 9.09ers for having me today. So as mentioned, my name is Sandra, and today I'm going to focus on a couple of things. One is how can you affordably, with a scholarship, study in the U.S., two, be able to major in nursing, and three, be able to work as a nurse in the US earning a very high income. So if that sounds of interest to you, then you're in the right place. And again, thank you so much to 9.09er for having us here today and for putting the platform and putting this together so you can also benefit from this information. So let's talk about why nursing. So one of the big things, it's very meaningful work. You're literally going to be saving lives. The second big thing is the earning potential. Working as a nurse, your approximately salary, medium salary is around between 80,000 US dollars all the way to 150,000 USD. So that's anywhere from around 4.4 million Filipino pesos to 8.3 million Filipino pesos. So it's a very rewarding career, but it's also a very high paying career. And another reason that people love nursing is it's in high demand. There's a lot of hospitals, especially in the US, looking to hire experienced nurses. It has a flexible schedule. There's many diverse opportunities. There's multiple nursing specialties that you can go into. And it's one of the very few careers that pretty much, and we're going to talk here today, you are guaranteed a job after graduation. Guaranteed. As long as you pass all your exams, we will help you immediately start working right away once you pass your nursing certification and you pass your education. Not many programs out there are going to guaranteed employment once you complete everything. So how do we prepare you? When you join this program, you will join the Nursing Launchpad program. So there are 3 steps. Step 1, join the Nursing Launchpad program. Step 2, do actually the program, the 12-month accelerated nursing program. And step 3, start working and earning income. It's very straightforward. We'll prepare you, you'll go do your program, and you will start working right after your program is complete. So the Nursing Launchpad program, here's the prerequisites for it. We will offer you prerequisite courses that you will take while you can do online while you are in your home country. If you're joining us from the Philippines, then you can do the Launchpad prerequisite courses before the semester actually starts. You can do it at the comfort of your home in the Philippines. We will also help you practice for the NCLEX exam. This exam you're going to need in order at the very end to be able to finalize your degree and to be able to start working. So we will immediately start working with you so you get practice and you get exposed to the exam. What we are looking for, we will eventually be looking for an English test score, which you can definitely talk to 9.09er about. We will be looking for a personal statement, which we will help you put together. Letter of recommendation, we will also help you put that together in your CV. So here is your prerequisite courses. You can start these courses, like I mentioned, online. So you can start the Nursing Launchpad program as long as you have completed at least a 2-year undergraduate degree. So if you have completed an associate's degree, let's say in in acting, right? In arts, you would not have any prerequisites in science or anything in nursing. So in that case, as long as you have completed at least 2 years, it can be anything as long as you have 2 years of undergraduate an undergraduate degree, then you can take the prerequisites. Let's say you have some of these prerequisites, then that's great, you don't have to take them again. So one of the first things we will ask you for is your transcripts. So we would look to see what courses have you completed and what do you still need to complete. Whatever is missing, you can take again online, and you can do this in the Philippines before you actually join the 12-month accelerated nursing program. So again, we prepare you for that 12-month nursing program because you will need this as your baseline in order to be able to enter the program for 12 months. So again, who can apply? You need to have completed an undergraduate degree of at least 2 years in order to apply. If you have only completed a high school certificate, it's not enough. You need to have completed at least 2 years of undergraduate degree, any degree. You need to have at least an equivalent of a 3.0 GPA. You will need an IELTS of at least 6.5 English level, but you can present that to us at any point, but you eventually will need to present an IELTS of a 6.5 to us. And you need to have completed your prerequisites before you can join the nursing program, but you can do these prerequisites online in the Philippines before you start the program, and the program is going to be in person in the US. And there is a $300 deposit that we actually give back to you once you have completed all your prerequisites. So technically, there is no deposit because you get the $300 back to you. So there is no fee. So one of the things that we do want to make sure that you clearly understand is that the 12-month accelerated nursing program is going to be quite an intense program. It's for 12 months you're going to be studying. That's all you're really going to have time for, is to study and do all your nursing, because this is a really intense program. But that's why we prepare you in the launch pad, and we make sure that you are ready, and you literally mentally ready to embark on this 12-month program. But once you're done with the 12-month program and you pass your NCLEX, we will actually help you with employment at the hospitals in the US, and you will be hired directly by the hospitals in the US. You can go immediately from studying to working. And this is just some of the pictures, or some of our students um, in the program, actually, in the accelerated nursing program. So it's a lot of hands-on, um, very, very hands-on practice. Now, why study in the US? There's a couple of reasons why the US is a really popular destination for students to study in. And one of the reasons is if you get your bachelor's of nursing in the US versus outside of the US, it's a different path you will take. So if you get your bachelor's in the US, you do not have to go through the accreditation evaluation. As opposed to if you get your bachelor's of nursing outside of the US, you will have to do your evaluation of your credentials. And it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months, and obviously you will have to pay for that. Now, the NCLEX, when you can take that in the US, is around $200. Taking it outside of the US is around $350. But the biggest difference between getting a nursing bachelor's degree in the US versus outside of the US is job placement. By you working on this accelerated 12-month nursing program, you can start working right after you pass your NCLEX, immediately right after. We can start immediately looking for employment, helping you get employed, which we're very good at, and you will immediately start working, and the hospital will hire you directly. As opposed to if you get your nursing bachelor's outside of the US, the timing depends on the immigration documents. Everything has to be evaluated. The hospital might have different views on if you got the bachelor's of nursing outside of the US, as opposed to when they know it's coming from a trusted, well-founded institution. So one of the biggest difference is employment. You can start making your money back because this is going to be an investment. So you can start making your money back right after you pass your NCLEX in the US. Another reason that this is the difference is when you get job placement in US education leading directly to job placement, meaning you get hired by the hospital, versus you going through an agency in the Philippines, and then the agency places you in the hospital. There's a big difference. I want to be very clear. We are not a job placement agency, okay? With this program, this accelerated bachelor's of nursing, we actually work directly with the hospitals to introduce you to the hospitals, but we're not doing the employment on the hospital's behalf. The hospital is the one hiring you directly. We have nothing to do with your contract. So I want to be very clear. We are not a staffing agency, okay? It is very different when you go through a staffing agency. One of the biggest differences when you get hired directly with the hospital, which is what we recommend, is going to be your pay, your salary. The reason is because the hospital is going to pay you directly, okay? As opposed to when you go through a staffing nursing agency, the hospital is going to pay that agency first, and then that agency will pay you. And many times that agency will take sometimes up to, I've seen up to 50% of your salary. So there's a huge difference there. The visa. Another huge difference when you get hired by the hospital directly, the hospital is the one giving you that visa directly. And we do work with immigration lawyers that are going to be there helping you in facilitating this process. So you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to worry about getting your NCLEX. You're getting introduced to the hospital. The hospital starts hiring you, working on your paperwork. There's lawyers that are going to be helping, and this is no cost to you. Okay, I want to be very clear. This is free. This is a free service that we offer. Waiting time overseas. Again, there's no waiting time overseas because you can start working in the US right after you get your NCLEX. Employee benefits, your benefits are given by the hospital, so you get the same benefits as all of the other employees, as opposed to when you work through an agency, you do not get the benefits of the hospital. Only you get limited benefits that the agency decides that it's able to give to you. In job outcome, again, it's gold standard of U.S. education, so you're eligible for any starting position in any hospital versus a foreign education. Some hospitals might not be hiring or accept that degree or that training. It's just a very different path to take as opposed to you going directly to the U.S., getting your accelerated bachelor's of nursing there directly. And now we do offer scholarships. I skipped the previous slides because I actually realized that the previous slides were outdated information. So please accept my apologies for that. I do want to be very clear that we are one of the benefits of having this info session today by 9.09er is the fact that we are awarding scholarships, and the scholarships are very dependent on actually they're merit-based scholarships. So depending on how your studies have been up to this point, what your transcript looks like, but essentially we're being able to award. Actually, it's going to be over. Give me 1 second to pull up the information. Yes, so it's up to 17,000. So it's $17,250 scholarships that is available. So to give you an idea, the total tuition and fees you would end up paying for if you have a GPA of 3.6 or higher, the total amount is actually $23,560. So that's after the $17,250 scholarship. So the total accelerated 12-month accelerated nursing program is $23,560, and that's obviously based on your GPA of 3.6. If you have a GPA of 3.0, then your scholarship amount is $9,750. So the tuition for the whole entire 12-month program can be as little as $23,560 all the way up to $31,060. It does not go more than $31,000, which is really beneficial because if you remember in the first back a couple of slides, the median nursing salary is annual salary is $80,000. So if you're paying around $23,000 a year to get your accelerated nursing bachelor's degree, that means that on average, within 1 year of working as a nurse, you would have already made your money back times more, right? So that investment you're putting in yourself and that investment you're putting towards your education, you will literally already reap the benefits by the first year of just being a nurse and averaging out a salary of around 80,000. So that's really important to remember because not many degrees are going to literally be able to pay you back immediately. But nursing is one of those careers that will literally pay you back right away once you are done with your studies. So like I mentioned, we do work with hospitals, so we make sure hospitals agree to sponsor your visa. And right now we're working with hospitals in Vermont, New York, and one in Massachusetts, and we're going to be working with more. So we're connecting you to these hospitals directly, but the hospitals are the ones sponsoring your visa, right? So, and they're the ones paying you directly. We're just facilitating that connection. So I think one of the key things is step 1, do your launch pad. Make sure you have all your prerequisites, and if you don't, you can do them at the comfort of your home in the Philippines. Once you are done with your prerequisite courses, you go to America and you can start on your accelerated nursing program. Once you're done with your 12-month nursing program, you take your NCLEX and you start working right away. And you literally start making your money back immediately. So it's an amazing opportunity. There is going to be an application link that's going to be available to you. Please fill out that application link and we will contact you directly for the next steps. It's a free application, so highly recommend you take your time out to make sure you fill it out. And that is it. Any questions? Or feel free to contact me directly if you have any other questions. But essentially, thank you so much for your time and thank you to 9.09ers for having us.
Miss Sandra, there's one comment from one of our Zoom attendees, and the question is, for which school in the United States?
Yes, it's actually going to be in Oklahoma City. So it's going to be Oklahoma City University.
Thank you. Let me just check the other comments. Sir Birch just used the comments section, and it says fully funded program for NCLEX passers and 50% scholarship for non-NCLEX passers and high school graduates in partnership with 9.09er English. And as you can see here on the comment section, there's the WhatsApp and Viber contact details of Fil-Global. So if you have any questions or if you're interested, please make sure to click or go to the website of Fil-Global or the Facebook page of Fil-Global. We are doing this because it's a wonderful opportunity, and I am certain it's not every day that you get to encounter a scholarship like this one. And trust me when I say it's not Trust me when I say that this is very rare, coming from someone who has spent the last 18 years in this industry. Most of the time, you are going to hear that you'll be required to pass this exam, that exam, and you're going to spend on your own. But this one, as Sir Birch mentioned, it's a fully funded program. So if you don't have immediate questions for now, you can watch the recorded version of this one. We're actually live on both YouTube and Facebook. And we did this last month. It's actually our third time to do Facebook live session with Miss Sandra. And we are hoping to do another one by next month, just to make sure that everyone is going to know about the fully funded program for nurses going to the United States. Again, it's a scholarship offer. So, Miss Sandra, thank you so much for your time. And we hope to see you in our next event together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for just making people aware of this amazing opportunity.
Thank you so much. Let me just check if Sir Philip is already inside the Zoom meeting room, because Sir Philip is supposed to be handling the IELTS intensive class. One moment as I message Sir Philip. Okay, Sir Philip is online and he has responded. So in the next few minutes, he's going to take over the class. And this class is expected to end by 12, not 12, sorry, 9 p.m. So just a recap, just in case you were not able to catch the beginning of this Facebook Live session. Recently, we have launched a discounted IELTS examination fee, discounted PTE exam fee, and discounted OET examination fee for candidates who are going to take the test in the Philippines. And mind you, this is open for everyone, whether you're enrolled at Niner or you are a self-reviewee or you're from another review center, but you're just looking for a discount in the actual examination, then you have until May 31 to enjoy the discounted examination, but you are not required to take the test before May 31. You have until the end of the year to take the examination, but you just have to grab the limited offer because the discount is only until May 31. That is number one. Now, number two, some of you might be wondering what's in it for me if I join the June 29 9.09er English Exams Expo, our 17th anniversary extravaganza. Well, for one, we are going to give away free exams. Free IELTS exam, free OET exam, free PTE exam, free TOEIC exam, free MET IELTS, OET, PTE, TOEIC, and MET. So here are the 5 examinations that we're going to give away on June 29. Not only that, we'll also be giving free reviews and cash prizes. In fact, the grand prize on June 29, 17,000 pesos. And we're also going to give away 1,000 pesos. So total of 34,000 pesos in cash. At the same time, we're going to give a free sandwich to the first 150 attendees, free book to the first 150 attendees. And there, you're going to meet various recruitment agencies, visa consultancies, and representatives of the testing centers. And I think Sir Philip is connecting to audio just on cue. Now, all you have to do is to check the posts of 9.09er to register for free, and voila, you're good to go. See you all on June 29. That's Saturday, 12 noon to 5 p.m. at SM Mega Trade Hall, Mega Mall. So that's the 5th level, if I'm not mistaken. The registration opens at 12 noon, but please arrive before that for you to enjoy your free sandwich and your free book. Just in case you have any questions about the discounted examination or the expo on June 29, please message me personally. That's Irvin Neil Temporal on Facebook. Or you can also message 9.09er English. So, Sir Philip's IELTS intensive classes, by the way, are from today until Saturday, 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Sir Philip, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so gotta go. You can take it from there. Bye.
Thank you, Sir Irvin.
Wait, I think I cannot end this one because I think I am the host. Or you are the host now. Okay. Bye.
So guys, let's start in a while. Okay, so welcome back. So that was Sir Irvin with his seminar regarding more opportunities for you abroad. Tonight, let's start talking about listening. So the listening exam in the IELTS is the first exam that you have to do during your during the written part. So this is the time when you're freshest, and based on the data that IELTS publishes regarding the scores of the people who take the exam, listening tayo pinakamataas. So on average, meaning not guaranteed, but when you take everyone into consideration, on average, we tend to get the highest score in listening. And this is not surprising because this is the skill among the 4 skills, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, that we get to practice most often, at least for most people. For example, right now, I'm speaking in English and Sir Irvin was speaking in English, so you get lots of practice. So the way to prepare for it, therefore, is to be familiar with how the IELTS exam measures our listening ability. How many parts ba yan? No? What kinds of things should we be on the lookout for? No? What are ways that we can take it easy? What are ways that we can make it easier? Okay. So let's talk about listening. And later, if we have time, let's have a listening exercise. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them during discussion. So let's talk about listening. Listening. So as some of you may already know, the listening exam has 4 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now, these 4 parts are an increasing level of difficulty, but they are of equal weights. So take 10 points siya. So 10 points, 10 points, 10 points, 10 points, for a total of 40 points. And we begin with the most important question. Sir, how many points out of 40 do we need? in order to pass. And if you were able to join us earlier in the afternoon, you would know that there is no such thing as a passing score in the IELTS. It depends whether the score that you get is high enough for you or not. Quick survey. What grade do you need to get in the listening component of the IELTS? Sige nga. What grade do you need to get? Nova 8. How about the others? 6.5. Admin? Your parents named you admin? Wow. Jerlyn, 7. Louis, 7. Christy, 8. Wait, what about the rest of you? What? Okay, maybe people do not know the grade that they need to get. Huh? Do something about that. Huh? It is important that you are 100% sure, 100% sure that you are sure, that you are certain what grade you need. Si Efren, 5 lang. Sana all 5. Christina, 6.5. Rio, 6.5. Mary, 8. Mark Hilty Echipare. There you go. Very good. 6.5. So what's the conversion? Well, depends. Usually, meaning not always, 35 out of 40 gets you an 8.0. 30 gets you a 7.0. 24 gets you a 6.0. 16 gets you a 5.0, so on and so forth. I think a 12 gets you a 4.0, something like that. However, this conversion is not set in stone. It depends. Depends on what? Depends on the level of difficulty. Level of difficulty. Yeah. What do we mean by this? Kasi there are multiple versions of the exam. The exam does not repeat. They do not recycle exam content. Malamang, no? For test security. Of course, they don't repeat exams. So that means that even though in one sitting, for example, today there's an IELTS exam. The IELTS exam in Manila will be exactly the same, would be exactly the same as the IELTS exam in Baguio or Cebu or Davao, or ganyan. Pare-pareho lang, no? For the same test date. However, the test date tomorrow would be totally different. The test date in America would be totally different. Or rather, the test content would be totally different. Yeah. So there are different versions of the exam. Ideally, these versions are equivalent to one another. However, in reality, they are not. Sometimes because of the mix of questions, because of the relative familiarity or unfamiliarity of the content. Sometimes some versions are harder than usual, and some versions are easier than usual, and some versions sakto lang, average level of difficulty. Is that fair? What do you think? Sometimes mahirap yung exam. Sometimes sakto lang. Other times it's easy. Do you think that's fair? Yes or no? What's the tingin mo? Sometimes the exam a little bit more difficult than usual. Sometimes a little easier than usual. Sometimes it's average. What do you think? Is that fair? Yes or no? What do you think? Sometimes the exam is harder than usual. Sometimes the exam is easier than usual. Sometimes sakto lang. Is that fair? Romeo thinks not. No? And the IELTS agrees with you. Because after all, if that is the case, and it is indeed the case, the level of difficulty varies. Well, that would be unfair. Think of it this way. The exam is an English exam. Therefore, the basis of your score should be your English. If you're good in English, you should get a higher score. If you are not so good in English, then you should get a lower score. Makes sense, right? Pero kung magkakaiba yung level of difficulty, imagine two people, they have exactly the same English ability. But this guy, because he gets an easier test, he gets a higher score. This guy, because he gets a harder test, gets a lower score. O, diba? Even if they have the same English ability, but because they got different tests, okay, but sila ng score. So that's not fair. A test that does not measure what it is meant to measure is not a good test. So we're not trying to figure out whether the exam is difficult or hard. What we're trying to figure out is your level of English ability. So anyway, so anong ginagawa ng IELTS? So what does IELTS do? In order to minimize the variance of the to minimize the impact of the different levels of difficulty of the exam. Ginagawa ni IELTS para fair, para level playing field, they adjust the equivalence from your raw score to your band score. So that means, in practical terms, usually to get a 7, you need a 30. Pero if it's harder than usual, sige na nga, 29 pwede na yan. Or sige na nga, 28 pwede na yan. Partida, allowance, it's hard eh. So these grades would be good enough for a 7. If it's harder, if it's easier than usual, excuse me, you need to get a 31 or you need to get a 32 para karapat dapat ka dyan sa 7. Gets, you get it, you get it. Cool. So the next logical question there is, sir, yung mga exercises that are uploaded in the dashboard or can be found in the IELTS website, what level of difficulty are those? Easy, average, or difficult? Average. So average. So yung mga naka-upload sa dashboard, yung nasa IELTS website, average level of difficulty. Therefore, when you take your actual IELTS, could it be harder than what is in the dashboard? Yes or no? Therefore, when you take your actual IELTS, could it be harder than what is in the in the dashboard? Yes. Next question. Can it be easier? Could it be easier than what is in your dashboard? Yung actual na IELTS. Is it possible that it is easier than what is in your dashboard? Yes. Yes. Of course. Oh, ito po yung punchline. Will it matter whether your actual IELTS is easier or harder than in your dashboard? Oh, ito yung punchline. Will it matter whether your actual exam is easier or harder than what is on the dashboard? No, exactly. That's the point. That's the whole reason why they adjust the equivalence from your raw score to your band score in order to account for the varying level. Good. That's meant to be reassuring. That's meant to be comforting. Na kailan ka man mag-IELTS, no matter when you take the test or where you take the test, or in Auckland or in Melbourne, you don't have to worry about it. No? It is your own performance. It is your own skill na kailangan mong atupagin. Thank you, IELTS. No? Correct. Depends on your ability. Speaking of difficulty, these 4 sections are in increasing level of difficulty. Pahirap ng pahirap. In terms of several things. First, in terms of topic, the first 2 sections are going to be about social situation. Everyone type social. 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 Yeah. So everyday scenarios. You and your friend are like talking in a cafe, or you are calling a hotel to book a room, or nawawala yung luggage mo and you're describing your luggage to the airport person to find it. Ganyan. Mga ganun. Maricon, thank you. You sent your message to host and panelists. So something like that. So accessible. The topics are common and things that you have probably heard about before. In contrast to that, yung 3 and 4, academic in setting. Type it 2, academic. Academic. Type it. Academic. 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 Yeah, so it's going to be like a training situation. You are students who are talking about your class presentation, or you are discussing different novels that you would be reporting on, or you are reserving a study room in a library, or you are listening to a lecture on veganism, or like elephants, no? Or mga grasshopper, volcano. So the topics in this set, in this part of the exam, hindi naman siya it's not going to be technical. It won't be technical. You won't be hearing a lecture on the pathophysiology of Crohn's disease, or nor the pharmacodynamics of paracetamol, or the metaphysical assertions of St. Thomas Aquinas. So walang ganun. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a scientist in order for you to understand these topics. But more of it's for a general public sort of level. So maybe you're not an expert in grasshoppers, but you've heard of grasshoppers before. Maybe you're not an expert on Jupiter, but you've heard of Jupiter before, thing like that. So so the topics become more unfamiliar. Therefore, the vocabulary becomes more unfamiliar as well, and you get more complicated grammatical structures. And they talk faster. So, mas mahirap siya in that sense. In addition, nag-iiba yung number of people who are talking. So in part 1, it's going to be a dialogue. Part 2, it's going to be a monologue. Part 3, it's going to be a dialogue again. And in part 4, it will be a monologue. Question, which do you think is easier to pay attention to? Dialogue or monologue? What do you think? Ano mas madaling pakinggan? Tingin mo, dialogue or monologue? What do you think is easier to pay attention to? Dialogue or monologue? Look at your classmates' answers as well. I am looking at your classmates' answers. Romeo, dialogue, monologue. Admin, dialogue. Christina, monologue. Louis, dialogue. Shep, dialogue. And yeah, majority of you think that it's a dialogue that is easier to pay attention to, and IELTS agrees with you. Kasi in a dialogue, oh, and by the way, ang promise ni IELTS is that whenever there are two people who are talking, one of them is going to be a boy, and the other one is going to be a girl. Why? No? Kasi we boys, we tend to have a lower pitch, whereas girls, they tend to have a higher pitch. Ganyan. So it's going to be super obvious kung sino yung nagsasalita. So, parang ganun. No? Kasi sa IELTS listening, wala namang video. We don't get any visual aids on who is talking. And this is unnatural. Because in the real world, when we listen to people who are speaking, we don't close our eyes naman, di ba? Parang, oh, makikinig na ako. No? Like, we don't do that. But rather, when there are multiple people talking, we have clues kung sino yung nagsasalita. First of all, we know where the sound is coming from, so it's somewhere there. In addition, everyone is looking at that person, so follow the leader. And we can tell that their mouth is moving, no? They're gesticulating. So may mga clue. Pero sa IELTS, wala. So the logic is, because in the real world, we are not ever going to be confused who is talking. Dapat sa IELTS, kahit na walang visual clue, you should also not be confused who is talking. Sense. Diba? That's sense. So that is the reason why I'm promising IELTS, whenever there are two people talking, like in part 1 or in part 3, one of them is going to be a boy, and the other one's going to be a girl. Even though in the real world, sometimes there are two boys talking. No, sometimes there are two girls talking. But because we have visual cues, we don't get confused. So anyway, there. So that makes it easier to listen to because when the boy is talking, and then you hear, Ibig sabihin nun, change topic na, change perspective na. No? So whatever he was saying, tapos na yun na yun. No? And then when the girl's talking, stop. Yun na yun. So these are discrete, ano yung discrete? Parang bite-sized ideas. No? One at a time. No? So hindi ka nabibilauan, hindi ka overwhelmed, no? Dun sa dami ng language, dun sa dami ng words. No? Kasi one at a time. So that's one way why dialogue is here. Compare mo sa monologue. Compare sa monologue. Oh, isa ng boses lang narinig mo. Paano mo nalaman na nag-change topic na ako? You have to pay attention. Whether I have shifted what I was talking about from this to that. That's the thinking behind it. So therefore, if you're gonna look at this, you are going to see that mahirap siya talaga ng file. Section 1, social na nga, dialogue pa, pinaka-petics. No? Number 2, yeah, it's a monologue, but at least it's social. Section 3, yeah, it's a dialogue, pero academic. Oh. Section 4, academic na nga, monologue pa. So, harder and harder. And I would like to point out, and take note of this, take note of this, that there is, let's make it super obvious. There is a significant increase in difficulty from part 2 pagtawid sa part 3. Ano daw? One more time, baka hindi mo narinig. There is a significant increase in difficulty when you transition from part 2 to part 3, as in biglang hirap. In terms of three things, in terms of the topic, in terms of the vocab, and in terms of the speed. Biglang bilis, biglang hirap, ano daw? Ganun. It's gonna be like that. Wag malinlang. Do not be complacent by what you experience in the first half. Kasi yung mga taong mangmang na hindi nagre-review center before they take the test. You know what happens to them? Part 1. Ang dali-dali naman ng IELTS listening. Part 2 ay confirmed. Madali ang IELTS listening. Ha ha ha. Tapos part 3. Ano daw? Ano nangyari? It's like they're disoriented, no? And then they lose a point or 3. Habang umahabol yung brain nila dun sa shock ba? Sudden increase in difficulty. So that happens. So we don't want that to happen to you. So you have to look out for it. There's for the third time tonight, there's a sudden increase in difficulty from part 2 to part 3. Anyway, you'll encounter it later anyway when we do the exercise. So be on the lookout for that. In addition, the way that the exam works is you're always gonna have time to read muna the questions for the section before you hear the audio. So this is the opposite of some exams out there, no? Like the MET, or well, But in the MET, you don't have a lot of time to read the questions. In PTE, sometimes you have to listen first before you figure out the answer, and before you see the question. In CELPIT, you listen first and then you find out the question. So you don't know initially what is important. So thank God in IELTS, questions matter. And this is very helpful for us because this lets us focus on the important parts of the audio. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng audio importante. Not everything is crucial. Not everything matters. In fact, quite a lot of your audio, filler, pangpahaba, panggulo lang. So it makes perfect sense for us to focus on the key words of the questions when we are listening to the audio. So we are always given time to read the questions before the audio plays. Now there is a difference with how much time we're given, or rather how the time is given. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? Sa part 1, choosing color. So part 1, you will be told, oh, you have some time to read questions 1 to 5. You read it and then you listen. And then you have some time to read questions 6 to 10. So nakahati siya. It's divided in half. Same thing 11 to 14 maybe, or 15 to 20. Tapos, I don't know, 21 to 26, or 20 plus 27 to 30. Ganyan. However, part 4, always one time, big time. You have some time to read questions 31 to 40. It's always like that. Parang lump sum ba? No? So you have a lot of keywords to pay attention to one time, big time. So that's another way that the exam becomes more challenging over time. Right? Oh, questions so far? Questions so far? Very straightforward. Any questions about listening? Anything that we've talked about? Questions? Any questions? Uy, tanong yun. Do you have any questions? Anything you want me to clarify? Anything you want me to explain more? Anything you're curious about? Hi, hello. Do you have any questions? None. Okay, great. I have a question. I have a question. So tingin mo, what accents would you be hearing in the exam? Some of you have probably read up a bit about this. Pero sa tingin mo, what accents? No, you're not allowed, Romeo, to play it again. Walang ganun. What accents do you think? Let's talk about that. Sure, you're correct. British, Australian, ano pa? These are the common ones. Ano pa? Ano pa? Ano pa? Canadian. Okay. American. Okay. Ano pa? Irish sometimes. South Africa sometimes. Bira lang naman, pero sometimes. So, mga native English accents. These are native accents. So, as we discussed earlier in the afternoon, if unfamiliarity rather, with certain accents is what's holding you back, patigawan mo ng paraan. For example, right now, am I speaking in an American accent? Right now, am I speaking in an American accent? Yes or no? Right now, yes or no? Is this an American accent? Siyempre, no, di ba? Napakalayo sa American accent. I don't sound Texan to you, do I? I don't sound like someone from Brooklyn, do I? But it's a neutral accent. Do you have any problems understanding what I'm saying? Magulo ba? No? I hope not. I hope not. I have a question though. Why do you think? Do you have no problem understanding what I'm saying? Tingin mo. Why do you think? Do you have no problems understanding what I'm saying, what you're hearing, the words coming out of them? Bakit ka hindi naguluhan? Hindi ka nahihirapan? Yeah. Because it's clear, sure, because of the speed as well, correct? I'm not speaking overly quickly. You're used to it. You're used to it. Because you're using your real voice without faking and not using a robot. That's what you. But yeah, so you're used to it. Therefore, how do you become more used to other accents? And you get used to it. Or in other words, exposure. Type exposure. 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 Literally, yun lang yun. No? So if you're having difficulty with the British accent, edi manood ka ng Harry Potter or ng The Crown, no? Or Bridgerton, no? Or Downton Abbey or Sherlock Holmes. No? Just get used to it. Podcast, I guess, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Should you be reading subtitles? I guess. Although I would suggest that subtitles be your last resort. Try to understand it first without the subtitles. Pero kung hindi talaga kaya ng powers, listen to it again. Kung hindi kaya ng powers, then turn on the subtitles. It takes 5 minutes to explain, but it takes longer to implement. But really, that is the way to get used to accents through sheer exposure. Yeah, that's no. Another thing though that makes listening difficult is not only the accents but also the speeds. Everyone types speeds. 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 Speed. Yeah, as you would experience in a while. Man, not necessarily super fast, but it's a little fast, especially when you are not used to doing it, to listening to English. No? So, so what do you do about it? You can't ask naman, ma'am, pabagalan. No? Nag-raise ka ng hand, suggest, nag-request ka, nakiusap ka. Walang ganun. But because hindi naman natin magagawa ng paraan yung audio, ikaw mag-a-adjust. No? So, you do that by paying attention to the keywords in the question. Type it. Keywords in the question. Type it. Keywords in the question. This is the only thing we're going to be doing tonight. Keywords in the question. As in literally, ito na yun. Keywords of the questions. Type it, type it. Type it, type it. Keywords of the question. Keywords of the question. Keywords of the question. Type it, type it. Keywords of the question. Keywords of the question. Keywords of the question. Some people don't do this when it is literally the only thing you're supposed to be doing. Keywords of the question. Yeah. So, you may have missed it earlier. Let me repeat. Not everything that you hear is important. Again, not everything that you hear is important. Therefore, if you know what is important, that's yun yung inabangan mo, that's what you are on the lookout for, then this increases your chances of identifying the answer, no matter how fast the audio is. Sample. Sample. That was sample here. The question is, what did Philip eat for breakfast? What did Philip eat for breakfast? What is the first keyword here? There are several keywords, right? What is the first keyword? Breakfast is the last keyword. What is the first keyword? What? Did. So you know that it is in the past. Not what will Philip eat for breakfast. What is Philip eating for breakfast? Next is Philip. What did Philip what? Eat for breakfast. So there are four things. Now, why does it matter that hinihimay-himay natin yung keywords? No? Kasi itong keywords na yan, share ko lang, are going to be usually paraphrased in the audio. Paraphrased. It will appear in the audio. No? It will be said in the audio, but usually it would be paraphrased. I think some of you know what paraphrased means. Ano ibig sabihin ng paraphrased? What does paraphrase mean? What does paraphrase mean? What does paraphrase? When you say paraphrase, ano ibig sabihin? When you paraphrase something, what are you doing? Changing the structure, different words, same meaning. Exactly. You construct, reformulate, you say it in a different way. Exactly. What did Philip eat for breakfast? That's a question. What you heard was Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning? Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning. Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning. That's what you heard. What's the answer? Careful. The question is, what did Philip eat for breakfast? What you heard was, Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning. Oatmeal? Hmm? What's the first keyword? What's the first keyword? Careful. What's the first keyword? Did. Hmm. So, are we talking about what Philip usually eats in the morning? Or what Philip ate at a particular point in the past? Usually, or particular point in the past? Iba yung ano yung kinakain ni Philip for breakfast versus ano yung kinain ni Philip for breakfast. Iba yun, di ba? It's different. In the past. Thank you. So that means that it does not mean that you heard Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning, that the answer is oatmeal. Because sometimes, joke lang, not sometimes, usually, one of the ways that the IELTS tricks us is it says something like this. Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning, but today he had cookies instead. What is the answer? No. What is the answer? No. Cookies. Gets. Gets. Do you get the trick? Do you get IELTS technique? No? May, ang tawag doon? Pain ba? May baits. No? May fake answer. Sounds right. Sounds perfectly right. Ikaw, oatmeal. You heard oatmeal. Phillips likes to eat likes having oatmeal in the morning. When you hear the answer, what do you do? You're listening to the audio, diba? Tapos you hear the answer. What do you do? Work with me, work with me. You're listening to the audio. Narinig mo yung answer, oatmeal. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You hear the answer. Afterwards, what do you do? Huh? Focus, focus, focus. You hear the answer. You hear the answer. What do you do next? You're taking the exam. You hear the answer. So listen. What do you do? Do you memorize it? You write it down. Exactly. Write it down. If you're taking the paper-based test, sinusulat mo yan sa paper, sa questionnaire. If you're taking the computer-based test, you're typing it. Right? Next question. If you're writing down the answer, are you still paying attention to the audio? Yes or no? Careful. When you're writing down the answer, are you still paying attention to the audio? No na. No na. Are you hearing the audio? Yes. Are you paying attention to the audio? No. Kasi writing takes focus. It's not something you can do mindlessly. Listening takes focus. It's not something you can do mindlessly. And you are aware of the difference between hearing and listening to something, right? And our brains cannot focus on two things that are at the same time. We cannot focus on two things at the same time. We can write and breathe at the same time because breathing does not require focus, but we cannot write and listen to the audio at the same time. What's the point? What's the point? Kung masyado kang atat na sumagot, Philip likes having oatmeal in the morning. Oatmeal, oatmeal. Sinusulat mo yung oatmeal. The correct answer is immediately after the fake answer. You would miss cookies. And, share ko lang, that is by test design. In other words, sadya ni IELTS yun. Sinasadya ni IELTS that the correct answer is immediately after the fake answer because IELTS knows that yung mga hasty, yung mga nag-attack, yung mga nagmamadali, nagsusulat agad the moment they hear a keyword and therefore they will miss the correct answer. Diba? So, be on the lookout for that. That will happen during your tests. Maybe 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 numbers out of 40. So it's a common trick. Be on the lookout for it. So what's the advice? Don't stop paying attention until you hear the entire class. Hanggang mag-change topic, sustain your attention on what is being said. Are you with me? Are you with me? You get that? You get that? Cool. Especially for those of you who have a very slim margin for error. No? Mga maninipis, no? Yung allowance. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, so paraphrasing. Ano yung ka-paraphrase ng breakfast dito? Paraphrasing, ano yung ka-paraphrase ng breakfast dito? Obviously, what word? Hello. Sino yung ka-paraphrase sa audio ng breakfast? Morning, thank you. Sino yung ka-paraphrase ni eat? Eat. Eat. Had. Good job. Bad. And Philip. So, be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. So before this audio, blah, 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 blah. After this audio, blah, 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 blah. So if it is said quickly, you may get left behind. So have in your brain these keywords so that nakaabang ka dyan. So that when you hear Philip, you know that you're supposed to be paying stricter attention. Okay? Right. What else? Sa part 2, here in part 2, ang promise ni IELTS is that here you are going to get let's use another one. Here you are gonna get a picture. Everyone type picture. 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 Yeah. So itong picture na to, so this picture, there are 2 kinds of pictures that you can get. Dalawa lang naman. Either it is going to be a table. Let's use another one. Either it's going to be a table or it's going to be a map. Me too. Either a table or a map. What if you're given a table? Okay, first question. How many numbers are there in this table? Obviously. How many numbers are there in this table? There are 4. Right now, it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. No? So sometimes people overlook, ay shit, may number 2 pala dun. No? Whoops. No? Ay, wait, may 4 pala dun. Hala, hindi ko napansin. So that's happened before. We don't want to happen again. So the first thing that you do when you are when you have a table is to encircle the numbers. No? And not cute circle like that, no? But rather circle, 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 circle. Para hindi ka mawala. Second, a thing that you figure out would be direction based on the layouts that you're given. And given that the answers will be said in order, how would the table be read? Top to bottom or left to right? Look at the layout. Logically, how would the table be read? Top to bottom or left to right? Look at it. Given this layout, logically, how would the table be read? Top to bottom or left to right? Wait, look at it. Yeah? Given this layout, how would the table be read? Top to bottom or left to right? Tama, left to right. Kasi if it's top to bottom, ang unang number would be 2, which makes no sense. But rather it would be left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. So what's the first thing that you do? Encircle numbers. Second thing that you do, determine direction, so that you know the sequence of how it would be set. Now, tables are relatively easy. Not so easy would be maps. So I'm not an artist, so excuse me. Yes. Hello. Annyeong. Bonjour. Konnichiwa. Aloha. Buongiorno. Yes. Che, what's up? No, I was not on mute. I was drawing. Were you not looking at the screen? Yeah. I wasn't saying anything because I was drawing, which is obvious when you are looking at the screen. Yeah. Papatawarin ba natin si She? Sige na. Charot. Okay. Um, Pay attention. Huh? Huwag malit. Well, try not to be malito. Ahem. When I wake up in the morning, I like to take a jog around my neighborhood. I make sure that the rising sun is behind me so that I am not blinded. After going some distance and I see the first landmark, I turn right. And after a while, I turn left. Where am I? A, B, C, D. Where am I? A, B, C, D. Where am I? A, B, C, D. Great. A. So let's trace the path. Let's trace the path. Where does the sun rise? East or west? Where does the sun rise? East or west? Great. Where is east? Left or right? Nasaan yung east? Left side, right side. Hala, nalito yung ibang tao. Nasaan? Hala, hala, hala. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. No. Sabi ko na nga ba? So therefore, the first thing that you do is to draw your compass. Compass directions. Maricon, you sent your message to Rose and Paris. So when it comes to maps, draw the map. Draw the compass. So I'm sure you know this is the north, and I'm sure you know that this is the south. Okay, let's use different colors. I am sure you know that this is the north. I'm sure you know that this is the south. Pero ito, ano to? What is this? Classmates. What is this? What's okay, Marco? East. Yeah, very good. East. And this is the west. Just draw it. I draw it. Draw it too, no? If you have the map. Because people get confused. No? The second thing that you need to pay attention to regarding the map is the view. No? There are two kinds of views. There are two views in maps. The first view would be the bird's eye view. No? Bird's eye view, meaning from above, from the perspective of God. No? The other view is the person's view, from the point of view of somebody who is walking or going through them. If it's a bird's eye view, please take note that you're looking from heaven. No? There's no such thing as upper left, lower right, but only compass directions. Therefore, if I'm referring to the northeastern area, anong letter yun? If I am referring to the northeastern area, anong area yun? C, correct. If I'm looking at the southwestern area, anong area yun? Anong letter yun? Southeastern area. Sorry, southwestern. E. Southeast. Parang Philippines, Southeast Asia. E. You gets, diba? So if it's bird's eye view, ganun siya, map, compass directions. However, earlier, it was the person view. When I wake up in the morning, I like to take a jog around the neighborhood. So that is that orange dude over there. And if it's a person view, it is important that you determine direction as well. Saan siya nakaharap? Where is he facing? The west or the east? This guy. Where is he facing? The west or the east? He's facing west. How do you know? How do you know that he's facing west? How do you know that he is facing west? What did I say? What did I say? The sun is behind him. The rising sun, specifically, is behind him. The sun rises in the east. Therefore, if it's behind me, therefore I am facing west. So after going some distance, I turn to the right. No? I said. After going some distance and seeing the first landmark, I turn right. No? Now, when I say turn right, by default, anong direction yun? West or east? By default, kung walang direction, kapag sinabi mong right, saan ka titingin? East. Oh, right. Pag ganun, di ba? Right. Exact. And that is another way for IELTS to trick our brains. No? If you do not pay attention, if it's person view, like the point of view of somebody going through the area. Tapos the person is faced here. Yung right actually is ganito. This is right. Turning right is here. Pero yung default sa brain natin, right is over here, right? So again, sadya yun. That is by test design. That is one of the many, many ways that the IELTS tricks us. So be on the lookout when it's a map. What's the first thing that you do? If it's a map, what's the first thing that you do? Draw the compass. Yeah, wag malito. Do not rely on memory. Do not rely on memory. What's the second thing that you do after drawing the compass? Well, sure, compass means the direction. So what's the second thing that you do after drawing the compass? What's the next thing that you do? Para hindi ka malito. That's okay. View, no? Determine the view. Ano ba to? Is it bird's eye view? Or is it person view? Kung bird's eye view, okay, thank you. Northeast, southwest, north, ganyan. If it's person view, what is the last thing that you pay attention? Philip jogging in the morning. If it's a person view, what is the last thing that you need to identify? Parang sa table lang, just like on the table. It starts with D. Direction. Very good, Romeo. Yeah. Saan siya nakaharap? No? Where is the person facing? Nasa north ba siya? Nasa west facing ba siya? East facing ba siya? Ganyan. So it's a very common way for IELTS to trick us, no? By saying right, but not meaning eastward, but actually meaning something else. If he is facing southward and he says right, in what direction is that? If the person is facing southward and you say he turns right, anong direction? If the person is facing south and sabi mo mag-right siya, anong direction? Correct. West. Okay, lean. Tama. Linet. You see how it can be confusing. So you have to look out for that. Okay, anything else? And in the IELTS exam, how you write down your answers matters very, very much. So certain things to keep in mind. Number one is spelling. Wrong spelling, wrong. So yeah, make no mistakes in spelling. If there are weird things, weird spellings, like my name. My name is not spelled like this. My name is spelled like this. So if it's spelled in an uncommon manner, it would be spelled as. My name is Philip. That is spelled as Phelyp. So there. So wrong spelling. At the same time, there are two ways to spell some words. There's the British way and there's the American way. The American way to spell color would be this. The British way to spell color would be that. Which is correct? Either. Not both. Either. So pick one. Ang sabi ni IELTS, we have to be consistent with the spelling convention that we are using. So you can't be like schizophrenic and shift. This time you're going the American way, that time you're going the British way. So pick one. And as citizens of a former American colony, which spelling convention are we more familiar? British or American? As citizens of a former colony, correct. We're more familiar with American English, so let's not pretend. So just go with the American. Same thing with grammar. Wrong grammar, wrong. So in sentence completion, for example, you're not what you're going to insert in the blank is supposed to make the sentence grammatically correct. But having said that, though, you are not gonna need to make any language choices in the listening test. Kasi what kind of exam is listening? If you remember, receptive or productive? If you recall, what kind of exam is listening? Receptive or productive? Do you recall? Receptive. Tama. So dapat, sinasalo mo lang yung sagot. You're not supposed to come up with the answer. You're just supposed to catch the answer that's given to you. So in practical terms, that means that Philip plays basketball, yeah, or Philip plays games, or Philip play games, which is correct. Philip plays games, or Philip play games. Tama doon. Plays, diba? Because Philip is singular. And if the subject is singular, the verb must have an S. But you don't need to know that. No? Because anong maririnig natin sa audio? Plates. You get it. No? So you don't need to like change the whatever it is that you hear to make it grammatically correct. No? You are going to hear the grammatically correct version. So all you have to do is to catch it and put it there in the book. In writing and speaking, of course, it's not like that. Bahala ka sa buhay mo. What words and grammar to use, no? Because those are productive skills. But in the receptive skills, just catch the answer. No? Whatever you hear, yun na yun. So, wrong spelling, wrong grammar. What else? NOAA. NOAA stands for number of words allowed. So if you're going to be writing down the answer, or rather you're going to be writing down words, nakasulat, write no more than one word, or write no more than two words, or write no more than three words, etc. So let's have an example. If what you heard was, Philip likes eating, or I don't know, delicious brown boys. Philip likes eating delicious brown boys. If the NOAA is one, write no more than one word. What is the correct answer? What you heard was, Philip likes eating delicious brown boys. Lol. Write no more than one word. What is the correct answer here? Philip likes eating delicious brown boys. Write no more than one word. What does Philip like eating? Correct answer, very good, is boys. Okay, that's right. Next, Philip likes eating delicious brown boys. Write no more than two words. What are the possible answers? Pay attention. Write no more than two words. What are the possible? Wedding brown boys, that's correct. Weathering. Okay, wedding brown boys. Weathering. Weathering. Delicious boys, very good. Tapos, weathering. And weathering. Write no more than two words. So, weathering. Boys, very good, Bea. Write no more. Sabihin, pwedeng less no more. So you have three possible answers. Oh, you see where this is going. Write no more than three words. What are the possible answers? Write no more than three words. What are the possible? Can you give me all the possible answers in one chat? Oh, write no more than three words. Oh, can you give me all the possible answers? Huwag malito. Write no more than three words. What are all of the possible answers? That is not all the possible answers. Focus, focus. Oh, what are all the possible answers? Close enough there. Not close enough. Correct. Very good. So there are four. Wedding, delicious brown boys. Wedding, brown boys. Pwedeng delicious boys. Pwedeng boys. Good. You got it. You get it? You get it? I hope so. No? Kasi, write no more than one word. Sinulat mo dalawa. Nadi -1 yun, automatically. Even if you are 100% sure that you heard it. No? But if it goes beyond your know, automatic -1. And some people make errors that way because they're careless. They don't pay attention to instructions, which is always a foolish thing. So pay attention to know. Anything else? Formats. Christina Espinosa. When is your birthday? Christina Espinosa. When is your birthday? What year were you born? Thank you. Mary Citadel Gabule. When is your birthday? Mary Citadel Gabule. When is your birthday? Hello. Thank you. Okay. Classmates, pay attention. I was born on the 11th of March in 86. I was born on the 11th of March in 86. When is my birthday? Write it down. I was born on the 11th of March in 86. Write down my birthday. I was born on the 11th of March in 86. Okay? So, paano siya? May comma ba? Naka-apostrophe 86 ba? Naka-capitalize ba yung M? M-A-R lang ba? O M-A-R-C-H? Sinong una? 11? Yung day o yung month? Ganyan. So, the insight there, follow the format in the questionnaire. Kaya ko tinanong yung birthday. So, ito. So, following this format, write down my birthday, please. Following this format, write down my birthday, please. Good. Check. Danlu Isuga, bakit dash? Forward slash yung nandito. Christina, bakit nauna yung month kesa sa day? Anna Grace, bakit naging letra yung March? Forward slash. Diba? It's okay. Focus. Kaylin M. Ay, hindi. Danlu Isuga, bakit 86? Diba 1986? So follow the leader. So follow the leader. Very good, the rest of you. Good job. So yun. So that's the insight when it comes to format, like a dates and ganyan. If there's a format for the date in the questionnaire, follow the leader. If there is no format, then just write it however you want. Good job. The rest of you got it. Good. Good job. Okay. Give me a moment. One last, then let's have the exercise. The question is, What vegetarian food did Philip eat for dinner? What you heard was Philip. The question is, what vegetarian food did Philip eat for dinner? What you heard was Philip was given soft tofu to eat last night. What's the answer? The question is, what vegetarian food did Philip eat for dinner? What you heard was Philip was given soft tofu to eat last night. Okay, the correct answer is you don't know yet. You don't know yet kasi wala pang period. No? So, binigyan siya ng soft tofu. Pero is that the same as kumain siya ng soft tofu? Parang hindi. No? Asumero. No? Pala, yung mga chismosa talaga, nagkapaalaman. No? Yung mga marites. No? Oh, sino-sino po yun? No? Let us take note ba? Si Bea, si Mark Hill Echipare, si Rio Paragualin, si She, si Mary Setudel Gabule. No? Oh, i-note po natin, no? Yung mga mahilig, no? Uh, advance mag-isip. So, not necessarily. Philip was given soft tofu to eat last night, but had uh, plant-based burger instead. Surprise, surprise. So just to emphasize the point, na habang hindi pa tapos ang boxing, huwag munang sumagot. So ulit, the question is, what vegetarian food did Philip eat for dinner? What you heard was, Philip was given soft tofu to eat last night but had a plant-based burger instead. Right, no more than 2 words. What's the answer? Correct, Bea, burger. No? Bakit burger lang? Bea, explain. Bakit burger lang, Bea? Explain. Hindi plant burger? Bakit burger lang? No, 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 no. Not more than 2 words. Ibig sabihin, pwede yung 2 words. Hindi naman sumobra sa 2 words kung plant-based burger. Kasi 1 word lang yung plant-based. Anyway, the lesson here is we do not repeat words that are already in the question. Sino yung, so, vegetarian? Sino yung kapartner ni vegetarian sa question? Sa audio, rather. You get it? Congrats. Sino yung kapartner ni vegetarian? Dun sa audio. Plant-based. Correct. Malamang vegetarian. Plant-based na. So therefore, the answer is burger. Burger. Kasi yung vegetarian, yung kapartner ng plant-based. So we do not repeat words that are already in the, we do not include words that are already in the question. Okay. Are you with me so far? Are you with me so far? Yeah? Okay, do you have any questions about anything? Oh, dami natin pinag-usapan. We've been talking for an hour and a half. Do you have any questions about anything we've talked about? Good. Glad you get it. Yes, burger. Kasi plant-based is the same as vegetarian. Okay, I have a question. Who here are planning to take the paper-based test again? Paper-based. Sino magpe-paper-based dito? Mark Hill, Christina, Okay, 2 people are, Efren. 3 people are taking the paper-based tests. Claire, Louis, and Mary Citadel. Christine Montano, you sent her message to host and panelists, which means her classmates did not see it. Please click the blue button in the Zoom chat. Very good, darling. How would I know? Kasi you would be the one registering for it. So you should first determine which testing center you would be taking the exam at. Kasi not all testing centers offer both paper-based and computer-based. So, yun. So, at the same time, although the content of the exam would be identical, whether you're taking the paper-based or computer-based, syempre, iba yung experience of taking it. For example, so writing, my word count, computer-based test. Thus, you're typing, which may be great for people with horrible handwriting, but which may be very bad for people who type slowly. So yeah, there are differences. There is a very helpful demo video of the computer-based test on the IELTS website. Check it out, no? So that you can assess whether this is for you. Anyway, why did I ask? Because in the paper-based test, the listening parts, the listening, doing the actual listening to the audio, it lasts around 30 minutes. Pagkatapos ng 30 minutes, you are given 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the questionnaire to the answer sheets. The questionnaire to the answer sheets. So, therefore, if you're taking the paper-based test, diba you're listening to the audio, you're looking at the questionnaire. Where should you be writing your answers? Sa questionnaire or sa answer sheets? O, yung mga magpa-paper-based test. Christina, Mark, Efren, Claire, Louis, Mary Citadel, Giselle, Christy. O, nakatingin ka sa questionnaire. Nakikinig ka sa audio. You're listening to the audio. Where you hear the answer. Where should you be writing down the answer? The questionnaire or the answer sheet? Correct. In the questionnaire. Because if you write in the answer sheets, nakatingin ka sa questionnaire, you go to the answer sheet, you write down in the answer sheet, and you go back to the questionnaire, hala, nasa na tayo? No? You might get lost kasi umusad na because the audio has already moved forward. So do not remove your eyes from the questionnaire, just write in your answers on the questionnaire because you would be provided 10 whole minutes to transfer your answers from the questionnaire to the answer sheet in order for you to be able to pay attention to things like this. Syempre, when you are during the time tumadaldal yung audio, during the time that the audio is being played, of course you don't have time to check spelling and format and NOA and whatever and grammar. Go ka lang na go. Just write down whatever it is that you hear. Because you're gonna have 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the questionnaire to the answer sheet. Sir, what about those people who are taking the computer-based test? Will you have something like that? No. Pero you will have time to check your answers before proceeding to the next part. Nasaan yung time na yun? Here. So you will have time here, before you proceed to the next part. You'll have time to review the manner in which you wrote down the answers. Okay? All right, so if you're going to screenshot, now would be the time to do so. So this is it. No? So this is your listening test. You're going to notice it's very straightforward, but there are some parts that are a little bit tricky as well. Okay, right? Okay, I have a question. We're going to have a listening exercise now. Do you need a break? Yes or no? You have 10 seconds to vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3 versus 1. So yes wins. How long of a break do you need? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes? You have 10 seconds to vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, panalo yung 5. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, bye. Oh wait, while during break, Mr. President, is the president here? He's not. No? Gabriel is not here. But could somebody please drop the link for our group chat, Niner IELTS Intensive Sala, because our president studies in his Sala table. Can somebody please drop the link for group chats so that those who are not yet part of our group chat but would like to join could do so? Hi. Could someone drop the link to our group chat? Yeah, so please do that. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Bye. Right. So that's 5 minutes. I have sent the link to the file that we will be using tonight. Is there anybody who would be printing the handout? Yes or no? You have 10 seconds to indicate if you are. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. I guess nobody. So, you have, so let's do it. So please get a piece of paper, number 1 to 40, or open Word or Notepad, number at 1 to 40. Ready? Okay. Hold on. Please do not look at the handout, or rather, do not look at the section if the audio has not told you to do so yet. So in other words, no advanced reading. So right now, don't look at it yet. Don't look at it yet. But please get a piece of paper, number it 1 to 40, or open Word or Notepad and number it 1 to 40. Do not read in advance. Huwag sanayin ang sarili sa isang advantage na hindi mo rin naman magagawa during the tests. Okay. If you're ready, let me know. Let's wait for 10 people to be ready, to indicate that they're ready. Then let's start. Are you ready? Let's wait for 10 people to indicate that they're ready. Then let's begin. Christy, Louis, Romeo, She, Rio, John, Admin, Mary Citadel, Ian Dan. Okay, G, good luck.
IELTS 15. Published by Cambridge University Press and Cambridge Assessment English 2020. This recording is copyright. Test 1. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings,
and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a woman phoning a friend to get information about a job agency. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello, William. This is Amber. You said to phone if I wanted to get more information about the job agency you mentioned. Is now a good time?
Hi, Amber. Yes, fine. So the agency I was talking about is called Bankside. They're based in Docklands. I can tell you the address now. 497 East Side.
OK, thanks. So is there anyone in particular I should speak to there?
The agent I always deal with is called Becky Jameson.
Let me write that down. Becky
Jameson. Jameson.
Do you have her direct line?
Yes, it's in my contacts somewhere. Right, here we are. 07866 510 333. I wouldn't call her until the afternoon if I were you. She's always really busy in the morning trying to fill last-minute vacancies. She's really helpful and friendly, so I'm sure it would be worth getting in touch with her for an informal chat.
It's mainly clerical and admin jobs they deal with, isn't it?
That's right. I know you're hoping to find a full-time job in the media eventually, but Becky mostly recruits temporary staff for the finance sector, which will look good on your CV, and generally pays better too.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried because I don't have much office experience.
I wouldn't worry. They'll probably start you as a receptionist or something like that. So what's important for that kind of job isn't so much having business skills or knowing lots of different computer systems, it's communication that really matters, so you'd be fine there. And you'll pick up office skills really quickly on the job. It's not that complicated.
Okay, good. So how long do people generally need temporary staff for? It would be great if I could get something lasting at least a month.
That shouldn't be too difficult. But you're more likely to be offered something for a week at first, which might get extended. It's unusual to be sent somewhere for just a day or two.
Right. I've heard the pay isn't too bad. Better than working in a shop or a restaurant.
Oh yes, definitely. The hourly rate is about £10, 11 if you're lucky.
That's pretty good. I was only expecting to get £8 or £9 an hour.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Do you want me to tell you anything about the registration process?
Yes, please. I know you have to have an interview.
The interview usually takes about an hour, and you should arrange that about a week in advance.
I suppose I should dress smartly if it's for office work. I can probably borrow a suit from Mum.
Good idea. It's better to look too smart than too casual.
Will I need to bring copies of my exam certificates or anything like that?
No, they don't need to see those, I don't think.
What about my passport?
Oh yes, they will ask to see that.
OK.
I wouldn't get stressed about the interview, though. It's just a chance for them to build a relationship with you, so they can try and match you to a job which you'll like. So there are questions about personality that they always ask candidates, fairly basic ones, and they probably won't ask anything too difficult, like what your plans are for the future.
Hope not.
Anyway, there are lots of benefits to using an agency. For example, the interview will be useful because they'll give you feedback on your performance so you can improve next time.
And they'll have access to jobs which aren't advertised.
Exactly. Most temporary jobs aren't advertised.
And I expect finding a temporary job this way takes a lot less time. It's much easier than ringing up individual companies.
Yes, indeed. Well, I think I've covered everything.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1.
Check your answers. The questions are not visible. I provided the handout earlier. Here it is again.
Part 2. You will hear a woman giving a presentation about a holiday on an island in Britain that her company organises. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good morning. My name's Erica Matthews, and I'm the owner of Matthews Island Holidays, a company set up by my parents. Thank you for coming to this presentation, in which I hope to interest you in what we have to offer. We're a small family-run company, and we believe in the importance of the personal touch. So we don't aim to compete with other companies on the number of customers. What we do is build on our many years' experience, more than almost any other rail holiday company, to ensure we provide perfect holidays in a small number of destinations, which we've got to know extremely well. I'll start with our 6-day Isle of Man holiday. This is a fascinating island in the Irish Sea, with Wales to the south, England to the east, Scotland to the north, and Northern Ireland to the west. Our holiday starts in Heysham, where your tour manager will meet you. Then you'll travel by ferry to the Isle of Man. Some people prefer to fly from Luton instead, and another popular option is to go by train to Liverpool and take a ferry from there. You have 5 nights in the hotel, and the price covers 5 breakfasts and dinners, and lunch on the 3 days when there are organised trips. Day 4 is free, and most people have lunch in a cafe or restaurant in Douglas. The price of the holiday includes the ferry to the Isle of Man, all travel on the island, the hotel, and the meals I've mentioned. Incidentally, we try to make booking our holidays as simple and fair as possible, so unlike with many companies, the price is the same whether you book 6 months in advance or at the last minute, and there's no supplement for single rooms in hotels. If you make a booking then need to change the start date, for example because of illness, you're welcome to change to an alternative date or a different tour for a small administrative fee.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Okay, so what does the holiday consist of? Well, on day 1, you'll arrive in time for a short introduction by your tour manager, followed by dinner in the hotel. The dining room looks out at the river, close to where it flows into the harbour, and there's usually plenty of activity going on. On day 2, you'll take the coach to the small town of Peel, on the way calling in at the Tynwald exhibition. The Isle of Man isn't part of the United Kingdom, and it has its own parliament called Tynwald. It's claimed that this is the world's oldest parliament that's still functioning, and that it dates back to 979. However, the earliest surviving reference to it is from 1422, so perhaps it isn't quite as old as it claims. Day 3, we have a trip to the mountain Snaefell. This begins with a leisurely ride along the promenade in Douglas in a horse-drawn tram. Then you board an electric train which takes you to the fishing village of Laxey. From there, it's an 8-kilometre ride in the Snaefell Mountain Railway to the top. Lunch will be in the cafe, giving you spectacular views of the island. Day 4 is free for you to explore, using the pass which we'll give you. So you won't have to pay for travel on local transport or for entrance to the island's heritage sites. Or you might just want to take it easy in Douglas and perhaps do a little light shopping. The last full day, Day 5, is for some people the highlight of the holiday, with a ride on the steam railway from Douglas to Port Erin. After some time to explore, a coach will take you to the headland that overlooks the Calf of Man, a small island just off the coast. From there, you continue to Castletown, which used to be the capital of the Isle of Man and its medieval castle. And on Day 6, it's back to the ferry, or the airport if you flew to the island, and time to go home. Now, I'd like to tell you a bit more.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2.
Okay, check your answer.
Part 3.
Lock.
You will hear 2 psychology students discussing the effects of the order in which the children in a family are born. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Ed, how are you getting on with the reading for our presentation next week?
Well, okay, Ruth, but there's so much of it.
I know. I hadn't realised birth order was such a popular area of research.
But the stuff on birth order and personality is mostly unreliable. From what I've been reading, a lot of the claims about how your position in the family determines certain personality traits are just stereotypes, with no robust evidence to support them.
OK, but that's an interesting point. We could start by outlining what previous research has shown. There are studies going back over 100 years.
Yeah, so we could just run through some of the typical traits. Like the consensus seems to be that oldest children are generally less well-adjusted, because they never get over the arrival of a younger sibling.
Right, but on a positive note, some studies claim that they were thought to be good at nurturing. Certainly in the past, when people had large families, they would have been expected to look after the younger ones.
There isn't such a clear picture for middle children, but one trait that a lot of the studies mention is that they are easier to get on with than older or younger siblings.
Generally eager to please and helpful. Although that's certainly not accurate as far as my family goes. My middle brother was a nightmare, always causing fights and envious of whatever I had.
As I said, none of this seems to relate to my own experience. I'm the youngest in my family, and I don't recognise myself in any of the studies I've read about. I'm supposed to have been a sociable and confident child who made friends easily, but I was actually terribly shy.
Really? That's funny. There have been hundreds of studies on twins, but mostly about nurture versus nature.
There was one on personality which said that a twin is likely to be quite shy in social situations because they always have their twin around to depend on for support.
My cousins were like that when they were small. They were only interested in each other and found it hard to engage with other kids. They're fine now, though.
Only children have had a really bad press. A lot of studies have branded them as loners who think the world revolves around them because they've never had to fight for their parents' attention.
That does seem a bit harsh. One category I hadn't considered before was children with much older siblings. A couple of studies mentioned that these children grow up more quickly and are expected to do basic things for themselves, like getting dressed.
I can see how that might be true, although I expect they're sometimes the exact opposite, playing the baby role and clamouring for special treatment.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
What was the problem with most of these studies, do you think?
I think it was because, in a lot of cases, data was collected from only one sibling per family, who rated him or herself and his or her siblings at the same time.
Some of the old research into the relationship between birth order and academic achievement has been proved to be accurate, though. Performances in intelligence tests declined slightly from the eldest child to his or her younger siblings. This has been proved in lots of recent studies.
Yes, although what many of them didn't take into consideration was family size. The more siblings there are, the likelier the family is to have a low socio-economic status, which can also account for differences between siblings in academic performance.
The oldest boy might be given more opportunities than his younger sisters, for example.
Exactly.
But the main reason for the marginally higher academic performance of oldest children is quite surprising, I think. It's not only that they benefit intellectually from extra attention at a young age, which is what I would have expected. It's that they benefit from being teachers for their younger siblings by verbalising processes.
Right. And this gives them status and confidence, which again contributes in a small way to better performance. So, would you say sibling rivalry has been a useful thing for you?
I think so. My younger brother was incredibly annoying, and we fought a lot. But I think this has made me a stronger person. I know how to defend myself. We had some terrible arguments, and I would have died rather than apologise to him. But we had to put up with each other, and most of the time we coexisted amicably enough.
Yes, my situation was pretty similar. But I don't think having two older brothers made me any less selfish. I was never prepared to let my brothers use any of my stuff.
That's perfectly normal, whereas sometimes...
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3.
Check your answers.
Part 4. You will hear a student giving a presentation about a type of tree known as the eucalyptus, which is common in Australia. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, I'm going to talk about the eucalyptus tree. This is a very common tree here in Australia, where it's also sometimes called the gum tree. First, I'm going to talk about why it's important. Then I'm going to describe some problems it faces at present. Right, well, the eucalyptus tree is an important tree for lots of reasons. For example, it gives shelter to creatures like birds and bats, and these and other species also depend on it for food, particularly the nectar from its flowers. So it supports biodiversity. It's useful to us humans too, because we can kill germs with a disinfectant made from oil extracted from eucalyptus leaves. The eucalyptus grows all over Australia, and the trees can live for up to 400 years. So it's alarming that all across the country, numbers of eucalyptus are falling because the trees are dying off prematurely. So, what are the reasons for this? One possible reason is disease. As far back as the 1970s, the trees started getting a disease called Mundula yellows. The tree's leaves would gradually turn yellow, then the tree would die. It wasn't until 2004 that they found the cause of the problem was lime, or calcium hydroxide, to give it its proper chemical name, which was being used in the construction of roads. The lime was being washed away into the ground and affecting the roots of the eucalyptus trees nearby. What it was doing was preventing the trees from sucking up the iron they needed for healthy growth. When this was injected back into the affected trees, they immediately recovered. But this problem only affected a relatively small number of trees. By 2000, huge numbers of eucalyptus were dying along Australia's east coast of a disease known as bell miner-associated dieback. The bell miner is a bird, and the disease seems to be common where there are high populations of bell miners. Again, it's the leaves of the trees that are affected. What happens is that insects settle on the leaves and eat their way round them, destroying them as they go, and at the same time they secrete a solution which has sugar in it. The bell miner birds really like this solution, and in order to get as much as possible, they keep away other creatures that might try to get it. So these birds and insects flourish at the expense of other species, and eventually so much damage is done to the leaves that the tree dies. But experts say that trees can start looking sick before any sign of bell miner-associated dieback. So it looks as if the problem might have another explanation. One possibility is that it's to do with the huge bushfires that we have in Australia. A theory proposed over 40 years ago by ecologist William Jackson is that the frequency of bushfires in a particular region affects the type of vegetation that grows there. If there are very frequent bushfires in a region, this encourages grass to grow afterwards, while if the bushfires are rather less frequent, this results in the growth of eucalyptus forests. So why is this? Why do fairly frequent bushfires actually support the growth of eucalyptus? Well, one reason is that the fire stops the growth of other species which would consume water needed by eucalyptus trees. And there's another reason. If these other quick-growing species of bushes and plants are allowed to proliferate, they harm the eucalyptus in another way by affecting the composition of the soil and removing nutrients from it. So some bushfires are actually essential for the eucalyptus to survive as long as they are not too frequent. In fact, there's evidence that Australia's Indigenous people practiced regular burning of bushland for thousands of years before the arrival of the Europeans. But since Europeans arrived on the continent, the number of bushfires has been strictly controlled. Now, scientists believe that this reduced frequency of bushfires to low levels has led to what's known as dry rainforest, which seems an odd name as usually we associate tropical rainforest with wet conditions. And what's special about this type of rainforest? Well, unlike tropical rainforest, which is a rich ecosystem, this type of ecosystem is usually a simple one. It has very thick, dense vegetation, but not much variety of species. The vegetation provides lots of shade, so one species that does find it ideal is the bell myna bird, which builds its nests in the undergrowth there. But again, that's not helpful for the eucalyptus tree.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.
Check your answers.
That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
However, since this isn't your IELTS test, let us go straight to checking your answers. So, kamusta? So, how did you find it? For those of you doing this for the first time, how was it? How would you describe it? Medyo nag-struggle. That's okay. Fast and struggling. Challenging in part 2 multiple choice. Struggle sa last part. Struggling, challenging. O, diba bigla kang naging scientist or botanist, no? Eucalyptus, ano daw? Birth order. Nahalata mo yung biglang hirap. Did you notice the sudden increase in difficulty from part 2 to part 3? From yung holiday to like yung academic birth order. Surprise, no? Surprise. So, yeah, as the end medyo nahirapan, makakaloka. Yeah, the accents. So, and how fast they speak. So this highlights what we talked about earlier, yung accent and the speed being the things that people tend to find difficult. Missed some answers. They keep changing answers, as we talked about earlier. So let's do it. Ordinarily, we would rationalize each part. However, tonight we're running out of time, so I guess not anymore. Confusing sa birth order. Jobert, sorry came late, not able to do task, that's okay. Would the actual exam have the same speaking speed? Oh, classmates, answer the question. Oh, sabi ni Jobert, sa actual exam daw, would it be as fast as that? Huh? Correct, Nova. It depends, no? Because the level of difficulty varies, right? Sometimes it's easier than usual. Sometimes sakto lang. Sometimes it's harder than usual. So there is variation. Will it matter though, which level of difficulty you end up getting in your actual exam? Ulitin lang natin. Will it matter how difficult the version of the IELTS that you get during your actual test? No, correct, because the IELTS would adjust the equivalence of your raw score to your PAN score. So that answers the question. Bea, advice please, as it was a struggle listening and looking for answers while checking the next questions if unable to read beforehand. So what's the advice? Eddie, read beforehand. That is the reason why we were provided with time to familiarize ourselves with the questions first, specifically with the keywords of the question. Kasi kung hindi, maiiwanan ka talaga, maguguluhan ka talaga. Kung dire-diretso mo lang papakinggan mo, alam ko anong dapat mong hanapin. So you answered your own question, read the material beforehand. Para meron kang landmark, meron kang inaabangan, meron kang ina-expect. You know the future. We are informed of the future. It is a prophecy that you are sure will come true. No? Yung mga questions na yan. Romeo, can we mark or underline? You must mark and underline these keywords. Huwag mo lang siyang titigan. More stimuli, more retention. So the more ways that you try to remember something, the better that it sticks in your head. So please mark and underline. If you're taking the computer-based test, you can highlight naman para you can click yung sa screen. Questions are good. Anything else? Sure. Let's check. Again, ordinarily, we would rationalize all of this, but for tonight, I'll just give you the answers. Becky, let's see what your grade is. Jameson, best to call her in the afternoon. Must have good communication skills. At least 1 week. Pays usually 10 pounds an hour. Must wear a suit to the interview. Bring your passport to the interview. Ask questions about each applicant's personality. The feedback you receive will benefit you. Less time is involved in applying for jobs. What's your score? Henny is asking, pag British Council po ba, wala pong headset? No, kapag computer-based test, may headset. Kapag paper-based tests, speaker siya. Thank you. Some did better than others. Some nahirapan. You're welcome. It's okay. Yeah. There's no such thing as feedbacks. Feedback is collective already. So that's okay. Now you know. Next. Answers. A, 12B, 13A, 14C. Next. As a view of the river, ano yun? 1492? Or was it 1462? 1422. There you go. Train to the top of Snaefell. Provides a pass. Take the steam railway. Former capital. What's your score? Part 2 out of 10. Not so bad. So bad ako. Labing. Not that bad. Well, that's the easy part of the exam. Now we go to the harder part. Here, so this was surprisingly more difficult. So let's spend a little bit more time here. What did findings of previous research claim about the personality traits a child is likely to have because of their position in the family? Keyword, findings of previous research. So you focus on the findings of the research. Kasi diba they were saying, they were sharing from the research, but they were also talking about personal stories. So you focus on the research. No? Anong sinasabi ng research? Anyway, when you were answering this, how did you do it? Did you did kaya 21, you were focused on eldest. Tapos eldest. You heard the answer. Then you went here to the lists. You identified the answer and then you wrote it down. Is that what you did? Yeah. And then you went to the next one. That was the thing. So this is what you call the triangle of sadness. No? So do not do it, no? Because that is hard, no? And confusing. Sir, may pampatalas ng memory po kayo na meron, tubig. No? Because water is the best antioxidant and it helps your kidney to cleanse your body the most. Anyway, so don't do that. No? Kasi mahirap yun. But rather, just pay attention to the keywords. Kasi later on, will you have time to match the keywords dyan sa items on the list? Memory plus, lol. No? No. At the end, will you have time to check to match rather, yung mga keywords na sinulat mo dyan sa keywords sa listahan? Yes, they will. Yes, you will. You have 10 minutes, at least for those taking the paper-based test. So try natin. Let's try it because this is quite challenging, I understand.
From what I've been reading, a lot of the claims about how... So we could just run through some of the typical traits. Like the consensus seems to be that oldest children are generally less well-adjusted because they never get over the arrival of a younger sibling.
Right, but on a positive note, some studies claim that they were thought to be good at nurturing. Certainly in the past, when people had large families, they would have been expected to look after the younger ones.
There isn't such a clear picture for middle children. But one trait that a lot of the studies mention is that they are easier to get on with than older or younger siblings.
Generally eager to please and helpful, although that's certainly not accurate as far as my family goes. My middle brother was a nightmare, always causing fights and envious of whatever I had.
As I said, none of this seems to relate to my own experience. I'm the youngest in my family, and I don't recognize myself in any of the studies I've read about. I'm supposed to have been a sociable and confident child who made friends easily, but I was actually terribly shy.
Really? That's funny. There have been hundreds of studies on twins, but mostly about nurture versus nature.
There was one on personality which said that a twin is likely to be quite shy in social situations because they always have their twin around to depend on for support.
My cousins were like that when they were small. They were only interested in each other and found it hard to engage with other kids. They're fine now, though.
Only children have had a really bad press. A lot of studies have branded them as loners who think the world revolves around them because they've never had to fight for their parents' attention.
That does seem a bit harsh. One category I hadn't considered before was children with much older siblings. A couple of studies mentioned that these children grow up more quickly and are expected to do basic things for themselves, like getting dressed.
I can see how that might be true, although I expect they're sometimes the exact opposite, playing the baby role and clamoring for special treatment.
Right, so if you pay attention to the keywords, later, when you have time, then you can match it. For example, 21. Nurturing. Anong letter yun? Or rather, that is the same as what word? Nurturing ba? Nurturing. It's the same as what word? What word? Nurturing. The same as what word? Caring. Caring? Tama, caring, nurturing. So the answer is G. You have the luxury of time to do this. 12. Keyword. Easier to get on with. Madaling pakisamahan. Easy to get on with. Cooperative. Correct. We're here. Operative. Okay. Sociable. Sociable. Outgoing. Yeah. Outgoing. Shy. Shy type. Shy type. Shy type. E. Introvert. Well, thinks the world revolves around them. Ako ang main character. I am the bida. Ako ang bida dito. Correct. Selfish. Not attention seeking. Not attention seeking. Attention seeking is pansinin mo ko. Selfish is akong importante dito. I am the important one here. So, ikaw mag-a-adjust. Something like that. So, selfish. And expected to do things for themselves is the same as expected to do things for themselves is the same as in ikaw gagawin nila mag-isa. Independence. Is this much easier to do? Imbes na natataranta ka na and then hala ano na nasa na tayo? Oh no, youngest na. Hala ano daw? Oh, diba? Nakakabaliw, no? Nakakabaliw kung gano'n. So just take note of the keywords so that you have an easier time next time that you have a table here with options to choose from. Yes, relate. Glad to know. Glad to know. Here, I'll just give you the answers. 27. C, 28A, 29, 30 in any order, B and D. Yes, they use synonyms. They use different words, but they have the same meaning as parables. A check of your vocabulary, a test of your vocabulary. What's your score out of 10? Dito sa part 3. What's your score out of 10 here in part 3? Look at your classmates' answers. Okay. Some variability. Thank you for sharing. Last, science, eucalyptus tree. Saya. It provides shelter. Its leaves provide oil. Lime used for making roads. Insects result in the growth of grass. Make more water available to trees. Maintain the quality of the soil. Growth of dry rainforest. A simple ecosystem. And ideal for the nests of the bell. Score out of 10. You seem to have scored higher here in part 4 compared to part 3. That's what I meant. But whatever your score is here, the score that matters, what's your score out of 40? This is the score that matters. What is your score out of 40? 40. What's your score out of 40? 33, Christina. 35, Louis. 33, Christy. Oh, what's your score out of 40? This is the number that matters. 17, Mary Citadel. 24, Rio. 28, She. 27, Nova. 32, Jerlin. 31, Ross. 21, Mark Hill. It's okay, Christine. It's all right. Christine, 33. Andrea, 32. Are you happy with your score? No. But yes. Yung ba, yes, kasi ngayon pa lang, they already get the grade that they need. Congrats, no? You don't need to be perfect, no? You just need to be higher or than what you need. Congratulations. For those of you who have not yet gotten the more than pa po, congrats, diba? Sana all. No? So if you are unhappy though with your grade, at least napagdaanan mo siya, diba? Na binyagan mo. So does going through the exercise help you understand it? Ganito pala yun. Ganito pala yung accent. Ganito pala kabilis. No? Ito ba yung pinag-gawa namin kanina, pinag-usapan namin kanina. Right? Because you learn skills by doing. And now hopefully you would perform reflective practice so that you identify which areas you find difficult, which areas you need to improve on, and you work on those aspects so that you can do better. Tomorrow we talk about reading. Okay? Bye. Take care. It was good working with you today. Bye-bye.